Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Becker out of Alexandria, Virginia. On today's episode, I have my good friend, Rome Gregorio, who is the founder and CEO of Popby Realty. Welcome, dude. How you doing, man?
Hey, excellent, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Glad to be
Yeah,
here
of
with you.
course. I had a really good conversation with you in our connection call about what you have going on. You've been in real estate for a while. You have a bunch happening, but before we get into that and what you're working on today, give us the overview, like high level, who Rome is, and for those who don't know you yet.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for that. So when you talk about entrepreneurship, a lot of people as they're growing up, they ask the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? First of all, I'm hoping to grow up someday. Secondly, I always knew I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so, back when I was 12 years old, I just said, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to be a businessman. Didn't quite know what I was going to be doing, but on a high level, I guess you could say I've spent the last 3 decades, nearly 30 years now, being an entrepreneur, investing, developing, growing, starting businesses, failing a lot, doing some things right, all the things that come with that entrepreneurial journey. I guess in the most recent decade, I've spent time as an international franchisor, developing brands out in Middle Eastern countries, European countries, taking that brand in and out of the United States. And so now my focus is real estate. I mean, real estate has always been a part of that collective, entrepreneurial journey. So past 3 decades, real estate has always come into play, whether you're commercial leasing or investing in properties, rentals, all the things that can come with that has just been a flavor of mine. And now today we have launched a new technology-based platform called Popby Realty. And our
Very
plan is to take this thing nationwide.
awesome, man. Well, awesome, amazing entrepreneurial background. You and I both share in that multiple,
Yeah.
multi-entrepreneurs here. But let's talk about Popby. Where did this
Sure.
idea come from? What sets you apart? Let's dive into it a little bit, if we will.
Excellent, excellent. So the term pop buy in and of itself is well used in the real estate industry, as you probably well know. Brian Buffini was, probably the catalyst in teaching everybody, hey, make sure you do your pop buys. Put your face in front of your clients. Put your face in front of your prospects, so that you remain top of mind. And so, the amazing thing, Andrew, is that we were able to actually trademark that name. And so Popby Realty is a trademark pending for us, trademark that we're going to have and utilize, and as we're launching here in the state of Texas. Our goal after the past, I'm going to say the past 10 years or less, is to identify where some of those loopholes are in real estate. My background, having come from two of the largest franchise brokerages in the United States or around the world, really. Recently, I'd come out of the mergers and acquisitions role where I spent time traveling around the United States, meeting with some of the highest level brokers, performing at the very best and at their peak seasons,
Mm-hmm.
only to find that collectively people were coming together and saying, hey, the real estate market is really, really tough right now.
Yeah.
And brokers are working hard to earn the kind of income where their agents are probably even making more than they are, but they're absorbing all this risk. So in one sense, I find myself in these conference rooms as I'm delivering mergers and acquisitions conversations where brokers are just saying, hey, the traditional brokerage model is broken. We pay high fees. We've got, franchise fees. We've got expensive real estate costs for leases,
Yeah.
buildings, all the things that come with that. And then when real estate is down, what do? You don't really, you can't really pivot or adjust because those are fixed costs, Andrew. And so people are really struggling. I found myself in these special roundtables in discussions where, we need to do something different here. And the challenge was, if you're a franchisee, what could you possibly do different?
Yeah.
Because the FDDs say you got to operate a certain way. And so there was no out. So, being an entrepreneur, you would understand this. A lot of times we tool our ways, we innovate our ways out of problems because the standard or the norm doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So stepping into the age of AI, new technologies, new offerings, new ways to build platforms, new ways to be discovered, new ways to remain top of mind without having to be, do that dance on TikTok. My
Right.
dance is really awful, man. I'm just telling you.
It's
So,
okay. You and me both, man. You said
yeah,
something interesting though, and I've always kind of thought this, like I refer to them as like the brick and mortar brokerages, the ones
yeah,
that have the expensive offices that for me, I don't know how it is where anyone else listening is, but I'm in the DC area. When I did go into an office, it was this really super nice built out office with like one other person
Hmm.
in it other than me. And I'm like, man,
Right.
how, and our particular brokerage had 12 or 13 offices. Compass has like a million offices in some of the most expensive
Right.
areas of DC and Northern Virginia. And I'm like, how in the world, what in the world are they paying for this space to not even be used because they think it's something that they need to offer to begin with? And then you see this plethora of virtual, tech led companies that don't have offices. Is that where you see the shift going? And is that Popeyes underlying business model where you don't have brick and mortar, or are you doing that as well?
It's absolutely the direction in the future of real estate, Andrew. Brick and mortar locations is bogged down, it's heavy, that you can't pivot, and you're susceptible to market conditions and market times.
Right.
Right. Let's step out of the real estate industry for a moment and talk about, what would you do if you needed a new sweater or a jacket or a piece of furniture? You'd probably go on Amazon,
Yeah.
you know, and
First, probably. Yeah.
yeah, well, because the availability and in fact, they'd probably get to your home before you can even get home in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
cases.
Right.
So speed of service to the technology driven platforms that allow us to enjoy the lifestyles that we live today, it's all around us. I mean, this is the way we do business. So as a result, Popeye is different because we are a technology based, no brick and mortar locations, but our theory of excellence evolves around the idea that we can get together like you and I are talking today in communities. And what we say at Popeye is circles are better than rows.
Okay.
Circles are better than rows because circles is where we get together and collaborate, work together with one another. Now, in those traditional brick and mortar locations, like you mentioned, and listen, I've spent a lot of time, many, many years in this environment, so I
Yeah.
totally understand it. What
Yeah.
happens is that the broker will contract out to a third party service, a title company, an insurance company. Somebody will come, give a lecture, buy the agent's lunch, and don't get me wrong, I really like the lunch. I mean, here in
Yeah.
Texas,
I
tacos
went to so many of
tacos
those.
are the way to a man's heart. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So we get that. But what we don't get is that we find that when the de-escalation of real estate and the interest rates are high and movement is slow, we've got buildup of inventory. These agents are dying on a vine, and they're doing it quietly. They're quietly coming. They spend an hour with us in our brick and mortar location. They receive whatever information was on the menu that day. That they have no choice, and so there is no collaboration, and they're too embarrassed to admit that they haven't got a closing all month, and pressures on, bills are piling up, they're looking at getting second jobs, third job. This is the reality of what's happening in business, and not only the brokerages that are new and upcoming. I'm talking about some seasoned veteran brokerages that have been around for many, many years. Brokers are coming back going, look, we can't absorb this type of hit. Inventory is up, sales are, closings are low, and these disposition of our agents are that hey, I need to maybe think about getting a job, which is,
Hmm.
should be a four-letter word, but it's not. Everybody thinks this is what I got to do because there's no way to otherwise see it. So there's no collaboration. So at Popeye, we use these platforms, and much like what you and I are doing today. We have a virtual headquarters where there's somebody in the office 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can pop in, pop out, and connect with somebody that's going to be live, face to face, and then that engagement process. Listen, just the fact that you and I can talk to each other will probably will probably have some residual benefits. I'll walk away from this. But that guy Andrew, what he said really helped me, and that's that live connectivity that we need to have on a regular basis. We don't need any more classroom or brokerage settings where one person comes, does all the talking, and everybody that came for that luncheon walks away going, I'm not sure that I'm any better off than I was when I first started. And I've got higher fees, and the splits are higher, all those things. And so the world of real estate needs to change, and it needs to change the way we're doing it.
Very cool. So let's talk about Popby. You mentioned the virtual reality type of
Hmm.
community. Someone is interested in joining your brokerage. Like, what does that? Do you offer training? Are you offering like what? Let's talk about what your value bring is to an agent like me or a team leader like me in terms of tech and all of that. Like, what are people getting here?
Absolutely, great questions. With with CRMs are key. One of our agents I spoke to this morning, said, I used to pay for MailChimp. I used to pay for their CRM. They would pay for marketing ads and all these sort of things. Today, we decided to go with the very best that exists in the market, and we feel that's Bold Trail. Bold Trail has just been a great third-party services for us, and includes everything that I mentioned. And so what we're able to do is we were able to turn around and charge minimal fees, technology fees, and include a virtual office where you can come in and work with a person live, face to face and live. So that's the community that we've built. You'll have readily available resources. You can go onto the virtual website. You can click an icon, and it'll throw out the contract for you. It'll throw out the resources for you, preferred vendor lists, everything for you. It's all data that's readily available. The type of training that we do, we don't just push you in a brokerage and play a video for you so you can learn from somebody who's been teaching the same narrative for the last 10 years. You're actually in community, and the way we do this, Andrew, it's really cool. We call these life circles. So you join a life circle. You might be a person who wants to learn a little bit about farm and ranch, so come to the farm and ranch life circle. Or we have a pathway to commercial real estate, so come to the commercial life circle. And that team leader, that person who's facilitating that life circle, is going to posture themselves in a way that they ask questions. It's collaborative. You're participating. You're not just being told, here's what you do. And so instead of having one team meeting where you come on Tuesday or Wednesday for that 1 hour, get that lunch and get that
Whatever
sit
the
in
topic
rows.
of that day is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're actually exercising that muscle. You're actually working together collaboratively and working with real life examples. So here's a new, farmer ranch project we have. It's 500 acres. It's owned by an estate. Here's how we're putting this apart. And so people are actually working together and learning, from the practical sense that they should have been doing, long
And
ago.
that's a live circle. That's what that's called.
Yes,
So is that
life
essentially
circle.
like I can pick and choose life circle? So that's essentially like I want to learn about this subtopic. I can go to that circle and hear and learn from other people doing it. There's all like a plethora of different options around whatever the topic might be.
Absolutely. So let me give you some examples of life circles. So you have life circles. You have women in real estate. So put together a group of working moms that have multiple facet responsibilities, taking care of family, taking care of kids, navigating those processes. Just being able to talk with other moms in that room. Once again, the value add to that is just incredible, right? And then we have bilingual life circles. I mentioned life circles with commercial, with farm and ranch. How about new agent life circles? That nurturing for new agents, that's a different process than somebody who's ready to learn about commercial real estate. So the new agent life circle comes in and they get more of that hand holding, experience, and know that they're not alone and there's no stupid question because you're coming in together with your peers who are basically, I teach at the real estate school here called Champions School of Real Estate. And so I'm constantly in front of new agents or future agents. And so, the kind of questions that they need to be asking, the truth is, Andrew, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what questions to ask. So you need to be inside that new agent life circle because the speed of growth that you can experience if you just knew some of the things that you should be receiving,
Yeah.
it's so much better than just joining a traditional brokerage and saying, here's our system.
Yeah.
It's 6 to 8 weeks long. And by the way, most brokerages that adopt that model, they charge you for it. So there's nothing like taking a brand new real estate agent and saying, hey, on top of all the fees, MLS, dues, licenses, and everything else, we're going to charge you to learn our system.
Right.
So once again, it's just such a drain. And so it's no wonder that agents have a short amount of loyalty in their scaling with, as they launch their business.
Well said. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot more that we can dive into, Rome, but we only run a 15, 20-minute show. But this is also like already really cool. That concept of the life circle and kind of picking and choosing your way through and then attend just the ones you want or all of them or whatever, whatever you want, essentially. But if anyone out there listening right now wants to learn more about Popby or get some more information, number one, are you guys just in Texas right now or are you nationwide? What's the plan there? And then if they want to learn more, how can they connect with you?
Great question, Andrew. We're based in Texas. This is where our launch has been. And when I say launch, we're really under 90 days this rollout for this technology. We've been working on this for a lot longer than that. But in order for us to have the technology pieces and the collaborative efforts to make sure that this feels very human, when you're scaling and you're doing something on a technology platform, a lot of people think, well, what is this? Just like an avatar or something? No, absolutely not. You're face to face with me, with our other agents, with other leadership in these life circles and in communication. So that's part of it. How to get a hold of us, how to know and learn about Popby, you can go to joinpopby.com. Pretty simple. Joinpopby.com. We've got an entire web service dedicated to instructing and teaching. You'll find some of the material or data that's very similar to honestly to EXP, to Real, because they're the forefront, right? They're the ones that jumped in early and created this type of platform. So with that in mind, we were able to learn and benefit from that. And so part of the scaling and the growth of our company is that we have some proprietary developments I can tell you about that are patent pending right now for us. And when we're able to release that information, this is something that nobody's ever seen before, nobody's doing in the real estate market. So we're really excited about talking about it, but obviously I'm not talking about it. So there'll be a time that we
we'll have you
do.
back on
So
once
that's
that
it. Yeah,
comes
man.
to fruition, and you can tell everyone, and we'll share it with everybody. How about that?
Yes. And then our plan, to answer your question, is we start in Texas, and then we have a nationwide rollout plan to include other states, particularly going into Florida and probably Arizona.
Gotcha.
As our next two steps.
Very cool. Well, Rome, thank you so much for being here. We will include the contact information in the description of this episode for those of you looking for that link. So the website will be there. Just look below. Thank you so much for being here. Let's seriously have you back on once your patent pending stuff, IP stuff is ready to, go out to the world. Any other actually, let me ask you a question, Rome. So
Okay.
I always ask this, but are there anything that you can share for our listeners out there, maybe like a book, a resource, a checklist that can help better their life, their community, or their business?
Yes. So, that's a great question. And the weight of that question is so powerful because today we're living in this space of AI and the adoption rate and the speed that this is going to move. I've been asked by my real estate school to actually write the training manual for our agents. And so AI is top of mind for me right now. If there's a book that I would recommend everybody reading Copilot.
Copilot.
Yes, it's an AI related book. It's an academic from Wharton who wrote the book. It's incredible. Now the book is 2 years old already, and so when it when it refers to ChatGPT, it's going to talk about the earlier models. But that once again, there's never been another piece of technology with a faster adoption rate than AI, and
Very
that
cool.
includes everything that you can think of from America Online all the way through Windows and Microsoft. So AI is absolutely a part of our lives. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, Andrew. You're going to have to learn about AI, and you're going to have to incorporate that in your real estate practice and really every part of your life you can.
100%. Rome, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you on. So thanks for your time today, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate what you do, man. Thank you
All right,
much.
man. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.